Hello and welcome to another stream of Resident Evil 3 Nemesis, the 1999 original game, to continue celebrating the game's 25th anniversary as part of my Rod-Legion-Ween month for 2024. Hey there Tech, welcome on in. How's it going? Hey Senny, thank you for the welcome back. Welcome back to you as well to another stream. How's it going? Hope you're still having a good morning. Very nice Tech, 2 Lord of the Rings movies down. Excellent. Now all you have is Return of the King. That's really cool. Hope you're enjoying them. Which versions did you end up going with? The theatrical or the extended? Yeah, Crooked. The Battle of Helm's Deep. Such a great part of that movie. Thank you, Spectrum, for the welcome back. Welcome back to you as well to another stream. Tech, Fellowship of the Ring reminds you a lot of Willow, though, the extended version. Oh, very nice. Yeah, I can sort of see that. I haven't seen Willow for a very long time, but I do remember Val Kilmer being kind of like that human character who, you know, helps Willow out and kind of acts as a bit of a protector. At least that's what I'm thinking of, but I haven't seen it since I was a child, so there might be some things I'm confusing or not remembering, but I could definitely see, you know, his character being similar to Aragorn in a way. Such a good movie, that one, Fellowship of the Ring. Hey there, Arabian Luffy, welcome. Jill's Bizarre Adventure, Last Dance with the Stars. Last Dance indeed. Yeah. Except for her and Barry and Rebecca and Chris. There's no one else left from the original stars. I mean, Wesker, until Resident Evil 5, that is, was also. Hey, Wicked, welcome. Hope it's going well. Spectrum, you had my stream up before I came back. Why did you have to refresh? I thought I'd hear you. Not too sure, Spectrum, but I ended my stream and closed OBS and everything down. But welcome on back. So in the last part of this playthrough, the last stream was basically redoing some stuff, but also being able to show some new things that I had missed. So this part is continuing on, and on both save states I have reached the point where I need to get the fuse. But there's also a lot of differences as well at this point in the game. So what I want to do is actually start by loading up save state 1, which puts us here at the statue. And save state 1 is the save where we had Nikolai at the gas station, and so when we get to the sales office, Carlos will be there. However, there's a substation and there's a option that you need to choose, and one of the options can also be different depending on whether or not you've actually gone to the sales office and obtained the oil additive first before going there as well. So if there wasn't one thing that I had to keep an eye on, there's several as well. Take both little people with the transport task. Someone's looking for it. Swordsman, protector of a disgraced reputation. It just keeps going. Exactly, Tech. It's like that in the when did he write? I think it was 1950s when the novel was written. I can't remember the exact year though, because The Hobbit was written in the 30s, and I think The Lord of the Rings was written in the 50s, maybe. Could even be 60s. Arabian, based on the lore, stars has many branches all over the United States. Based on recent events in Village, you say stars reunite. Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if they do that. Hey there, troll, welcome. Know what you could use right now? A Jill sandwich. Yeah, well, if things had gone differently, Jill would have been a sandwich in the mansion there. Tech, yes, that's right, Rod. So is the 50s. Cool. Yeah, I didn't read Lord of the Rings until about 1995 or 1996, I think. And little did I know that in 1997 they were already starting to work on the movie adaptations. But I wasn't able to jump on Google and look up Lord of the Rings and see, oh, they're filming the movie now. Even though it started filming in 1999, actually. But the project began development in 1997. For fuck's sake. I was expecting like a text message to pop up. And by the time the enemy got in the fucking road, blocked me. Spectrum, what's the best zombie movie? Well, my favourite's Day of the Dead from 1985. It's the third movie in George Romero's zombie series. At that time, of course, it was a trilogy. Hey there, Extreme. Tech Internet says Willow is based more on Wizard of Oz and Star Wars, but you're not the only one who noticed it's similar to Lord of the Rings. Yeah. Well, there's so many similarities too between stuff that, you know, a lot of stuff shares. Tech depends on what you consider a zombie. Yeah, there's multiple kinds as well. People always lump in the 28 days and 28 months later movies, but they're not actually zombies. Like, you've got the voodoo zombies that don't eat flesh, and they're basically people who have been hypnotized, whereas you have flesh-eating zombies. But what they face in 28 days later in that, they're just humans that have been infected with a virus that makes them go really, really crazy. Crooked, Shaun of the Dead was pretty funny. Levin, you watched it the other day. That's such a great movie, dude. I love that movie a lot. It's so funny, the part where, I can't remember the character's name, but she teaches them how to walk like a zombie, because she's like an actress on stage, and she's telling them how to do the movements and make the noises, and it's so funny how it works, you know. There's so many great moments in that movie. I like how it's like they're playing loud music. Sean and I can't remember the other character's name. Damn it. Anyway, they're playing the loud music, and you know it's early in the morning, and they've just been out to the pub and they're drunk and everything, and they got a roommate. He's like, "It's 4 o'clock in the fucking morning." Spectrum, any kind of zombie? Yeah. Well, I don't know if it's the best, but I'd probably put Day of the Dead up there. Extreme Jill needs to look like Alan does in that moment. Yeah, Crooked, that roommate was already well on her ways to zombie transformation. Oh yeah, you're not wrong there. That was the other funny thing too. How they didn't notice straight away. Alright, let's reload that for a moment. Spectrum, haven't seen Day of the Dead or Shaun of the Dead, so you'll check those out, thanks. Oh, very nice, Spectrum, that's cool. There's also a horror comedy, Return of the Living Dead. They did quite a few movies in that series, but the original one was directed by Dan O'Bannon, who actually was involved in the development of Alien, the first Alien movie. And there was also a producer involved who worked on Night of the Living Dead, which was George Romero's first directorial zombie movie. Russo something? But I think they had a falling out, and the rights were weird, so they were able to actually use certain elements from Night of the Living Dead because Night of the Living Dead didn't have proper copyright. And so this Russo guy went off and produced this other zombie movie. But there's a nice, really cool nod to Night of the Living Dead because in Return of the Living Dead, they make it out that the events that were depicted in Night of the Living Dead were actually based on real events. And that the real, source of the zombies is, there where the characters are talking about it. Take, you really enjoyed the realistic spin on World War Z. Fun fact, Alien is no doubt in your mind a rip-off movie. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, this is the thing, right? Like, there's so many things that share similarities as well. I think sometimes it can be a fine line between rip-off and homage and also just similar elements that have, found their way in other movies and stuff. Jack Russo, Spectrum, yeah. Yeah, so I don't know what happened between them, but yeah. I take like shot for shot. I gotcha. Yeah, I don't know about shot for shot stuff. That's kind of, definitely copy and paste. It's like the Psycho remake. Oh, very nice, Tech. Thanks for doing that. Yeah, I never actually saw that movie. Them. Isn't that giant ants? Ah, cool. Yeah, because I think I remember seeing the cover of it somewhere. Oh, did you, Spectrum? You saw them a long time ago. Have to see it again. Cool. Yeah, I definitely haven't seen that movie. Heck, it's atrocious, the similarities. Yeah. This goes to show nothing's entirely original. Spectrum, hard to believe that 1999 was 25 years ago. That was the year you got married. Oh, was it, Spectrum? Yeah, it was an interesting year, 1999. There's so much stuff about, oh, the world's going to end in 2000 because computers couldn't do above 99. It's like, yeah, sure, okay. Alright, there's a fire hydrant. A fire hose is fixed with bolts. Will you take the fire hose? You've taken the fire hose. You no longer need this wrench. Will you discard it? Yes. A hose to be connected to a fire hydrant. Tech, how many channel points could you spend to get a live reaction to a 1 minute video? Um, well, I don't have a channel point reward set up for something like that. Um, but I'd really rather concentrate on the gaming because I've got a lot of stuff to get done. I need to be able to concentrate on this because there's a lot of moving parts to it and stuff like that. But I'll have a look at it later and then respond to it in the Discord. Spectrum, remember that TV show called Space, 1999? No. Yeah, I never actually saw that one. I don't know if I heard about it either. Take, you were born in 98. Most of your favorite stuff like movies is 80s though. Oh, that's cool though. Yeah, I was born in the early 80s, but I am definitely like a 90s kid, but I do like a lot of 80s stuff. Alright, so this is where I need to make a save. Save state 1. Because getting close to the sales office, I think. And the substation has some things related to it based on that as well. Hey Ishimura, welcome. 80s films are the best. There's definitely a lot of classics across multiple genres in that decade. How's things going, Ishimura? Tech 80s to 90s swag, only defeated by 50s to 60s swag. Yeah, when it comes to movies and stuff, like, as long as the movie's interesting, I don't really mind when it was made. Like, I don't have a, you know, I only watch movies that were made from this decade on. Like, there's definitely movies from various decades where it's like, that's a cool movie. Like 1931's Dracula, I like that. And that's in black and white. But I also like, other movies from other decades, like in the 60s you have Goldfinger, the third James Bond movie. Yeah, that was a good movie. As long as it's interesting and I like it and there's enough to keep me interested, doesn't matter what year it was made. Spectrum, did you watch Lost in Space? No. Yeah, not the TV show. I saw the movie though, that they did in the 90s. Or was it the early 2000s? Late 90s? I can't remember now. I think they did a new series of that too. There is a fire hydrant. If I had a fire hose, I might be able to extinguish the fire over there. Oh, with you. Here we get a better crank. Will you take the crank? You've taken the crank. Can we take it to the bank? A square-edged crank. Ishimura, yeah, you'll watch anything, but it's getting harder and harder to find anything enjoyable released in the last 20 years compared to stuff released in years gone by. Yeah, that can be fair too, because there's so many sensibilities about certain kinds of like approaches to movies that change as well, certain styles that get changed, and there's certain like structures of story that, seem to work better, but don't work as well. I kind of find that every decade has, movies that are terrible and movies that are great as well. But in between there, of course, it just depends on everyone's taste and stuff.
No! Don't make me do this, Murphy. I don't want to shoot you. Kill me. I finished. Not human. Wait, we don't have to do this. Please hurry. Before I lose conscious. Before too late. Kill me! Yeah! Murphy. Why? No. No.
Carlos!
Alright, so that music is now looped. Tech 90's animation was peak. When those animators retired, you don't know what happened. Probably when animation went 3D. That's true, yeah. Some artists don't survive the transition from one approach, especially when it's not, based purely on, because you can have so many different styles of 2D animation that is unique to each individual artist. But when an entire sort of like different style comes along, 3D animation, then not everyone's gonna carry over into that. Ishimura, yeah, true, depends on taste. You don't really care for Marvel stuff, which dominates film industry these days. Yeah, when I saw Iron Man 3, that's when I started to lose interest, because I felt with Iron Man 3 there was a potential to do something really interesting with Tony Stark, but they kind of only touched the surface of it. Like I was hoping that they would really go in with the demon in a bottle storyline where he's suffering from alcoholism, and I haven't read the comics, but I think in the comic he kills someone. I don't know if it's accidental or something like that happens, but that was a whole storyline that they touch upon a bit, I think, in that movie, but they don't really go all the way with it. And I felt like that was a good example of, at least back then, because they've done R-rated movies now, but at least back then, Disney with the Marvel movies wasn't willing to take too many risks in the way of being too violent or too, serious with sort of like stuff. Then I sort of lost interest, and every now and again I'll have a look and be like, oh, so that's what they're doing now. Okay, oh well, fair enough, and just keep on with my life. But yeah, the last thing I saw of theirs that was brand new would have been Spider-Man: Homecoming. I saw Deadpool 1, but that was before Disney bought 20th Century Fox, who at that time had the rights to Deadpool and X-Men. Hey there, Lucinda, good morning. How's your day going so far? Alright, so what we saw there was Carlos coming across Murphy. Carlos comes across Murphy if you had Carlos appear at the gas station instead of Nikolai. If you have Nikolai appear at the gas station instead of Carlos, then it's Nikolai who you see here with Murphy. So I've shown what happens if you come here after having met Carlos at the gas station and you come here to the sales office. But there's also something else tied to the sales office, which is related to the substation, where if you haven't been to the sales office and obtained the oil additive, then when you choose to use the emergency exit, Nemesis will appear outside, but only if you haven't visited the sales office and obtained the oil additive yet. So we're currently in the sales office and we haven't got the additive yet, but I'm assuming that even going to the sales office at all, irrespective of whether or not you then stay and actually get the oil additive, means that Nemesis will appear outside. Sorry, will not appear outside, sorry. So this is something I need to incorporate and think about before I go ahead as well. Listen, the morning is going well. Preparing for your Tuesday? Oh, very nice, Lucinda. That's awesome. Glad to hear that you're going well. Alright, so got to think. Got to wrap my head around what order I want to do things in to still make sure that they're done right, and also make sure I don't save over the wrong save file. Okay, so in all honesty, I think the best thing to do is to not save over this save state yet, but actually reload another save and then show what the sales office is like when Nikolai is here with Murphy. And then after that's done, then I'll think about the next step, which is related to the substation as well. Alright, so this is save state 2, in which it was Nikolai at the gas station. Actually, hang on. Save state 2 had Carlos at the gas station and Nikolai will be at the sales office. Save state 1, which I just did, had Nikolai at the gas station and Carlos at the sales office. So I've covered that already. Save state 2 is what I'm on now. And so when we get to the sales office, it'll be Nikolai there instead. This whole thing with the sale offers, by the way, is the whole reason why I had to not stream this yesterday, because I had to look at a guide and I had to look at my own VOD from part 1, and then I had to compile it all into something that made sense to me in a notepad document, and made several notes on make sure you do this and not that. This is when part 2 of the stream starts, do this, and then when the stream ends, that's that section, and then, all this kind of stuff. I even had to keep a log of every action that I made in the first part, like what save state did I reload? What save state did I save? How many times did I do that? What item did I pick up? What item didn't I pick up? So I literally had to do a transcribing of what actions I did in part 1 in a notepad, and then take that information and then look at the other notepad document that I had and actually cross-reference and double-check and go back and forth. So it took hours, literally. Like I probably watched 3 or 4 half-an-hour videos on YouTube that I didn't really need to see the visuals for that much, because they were movies that I'd actually seen before. So I was just using them as like something to listen to. And yeah, so took all that. And so the previous stream to this one was all about showing some stuff that I missed out on before in part 1. And so now we're getting almost to the point where I don't have to worry about the stuff that was related to the gas station and whether or not Nikolai was there versus whether Carlos was there versus whether I made sure I had it right and which I didn't have it wrong, and upside down and left and right and down and up and left and right and down and up. If that was confusing what I just said, that's how it feels trying to get this all organized and sorted, so I can be like, right, this is what I need to do. And I need to make sure I don't save over the wrong save state. Otherwise I'll be in all sorts of fucking trouble. I have to watch this VOD again and transcribe the whole thing again and be like, you did this at this point, this timestamp did this. It's like, ugh. Cinder, most Resident Evil games are pretty linear and expected. This game has a lot of variations. I mean, every game has multiple endings, but this game has multiple ways of doing things that don't necessarily affect the ending. Exactly the Cinder. Another great example, that explosive barrel that is outside the train, that's already on the ground, if you don't destroy it, Mikhail will kick it and roll it down and then blow it up. If you destroy the barrel, though, before that point, when you get to Mikhail, he'll actually throw a grenade instead. Even that's different depending on little things like that, Listen, it's definitely part of what makes this game great and also unique. That's true, There'll probably be some stuff that I won't, because there's some things that I did by accident too. Like that puzzle where you have the slot for the bronze book, and then you have the slot for the bronze plate. In the first stream I did for this playthrough, I basically waited until I had the plate first before doing that. Whereas in the earlier stream today, I completely forgot about that and ended up triggering the way to trap you so you can't actually get out unless you put the bronze plate back. You know, even little things like that. I was like, oh, I'm glad I accidentally did that, because that way I could show the difference. And another thing too, with the gas station, right? Like if you have it so that Carlos appears at the gas station, when he comes in and you go and you investigate the other area where normally Nikolai would be, that you can't access. If you access that when Carlos is at the gas station, the zombies will start coming and he'll rush out to shoot them. You can either go out with him and it'll show a scenario, and then of course the explosion of the gas station won't happen yet, and then you'll go inside and then you'll get the oil can thing, and then the whole thing about the thing will start to blow up because the spark happens without Nikolai there, and there's that variation. And so you have Carlos, like he can either be there with you when it blows up or not there with you. In the CG, in the FMV sequence, they always just show Jill running and diving, regardless of whether Carlos is there or not. But there's even that thing too, you know, so I was like, oh, here's another variation of things to look out for. Hey there, Shaky. How's things going today? Nice, triple headshot. Cheers, Lucinda, thank you. Something else that's interesting too is if you chose to hide in the basement after meeting Carlos here, the basement gets flooded, and the dead body, if that happens, doesn't have the other jewel on it. So you have to find the other jewel in a completely different spot, which is the Raccoon Press building. But if you choose to meet Carlos at the press place, then that that jewel ends up being in the dead body in the basement here in the in the restaurant. So that's another thing where it's like these differences, especially since they weren't perfectly lined up. Yeah, I wasn't sure what to expect, because I thought, you know, maybe I'd get one headshot for the enemy that was closer, and maybe the other enemies would just get, you know, cut in half. Shaky, man, you love demo crafting in this. Tons of fun with the Game Shark. Used the Mind Thrower a lot. Oh, very nice, Shaky. That's cool. Yeah, that's something I never really delved too much into with this game. Okay, so that's save state 1. I made a save after dealing with the fire and having shown Carlos at the sales office. I didn't save over it yet because there's a substation to consider. This is save state 2, so it'll be Nikolai that appears at the sales office. Nice. Another triple headshot. Alrighty then. So, save state 1 was the other save file where Nikolai was at the gas station and Carlos was at the sales office. And so save state 2 is the one that I am on now, and that had Carlos at the gas station and Nikolai should be at the sales office. Alright, make a save on that there. Because I still need to do this, but I want to have both save states at this point, so I've gotten to the same spot on both save files. Because these cutscenes that we're about to see can be skipped anyway. So yeah, Nikolai will be at the sales office this time, and we'll see his interaction with Murphy.
What did you do?
I had no choice. He was about to turn into a zombie. It would have been a threat, so I eliminated it.
But he was still conscious, wasn't he?
He was as good as dead. And it took fewer bullets to kill him now than it would have if he had transformed.
Alright, so we had different music with Nikolai here, of course, because there's a whole different feel to what has gone on. Yeah, Lucinda, not suspicious at all, is it?
Not now, I'm busy.
Nikolai is examining the mercenary using his PC. Leave me alone, I'm busy. Has the same energy as that French guy in Tomb Raider: The Angel of Darkness, where you interact with him if you want, and you can also keep interacting with him. He's like, leave me alone, I'm busy. Leave me alone, I'm busy. Alright, so I've shown both variations of the sales office now. However, there is a part with a substation, and if you go to the substation and you get the option to either head to the emergency exit or increase the electricity output, then Nemesis will actually not appear outside if you make the choice of head to the emergency exit. So on the both save states I've shown going to the sales office, so I'm going to assume that at bare minimum going to the sales office at all triggers the difference with the substation. So that's why I'm not going to make a save on this save state either. But what I'm going to do is reload the first save state, because the whole thing with the substation, it doesn't matter whether Carlos or Nikolai was here at the sales office, as long as I go straight to the substation and show that kind of stuff. So I think that's probably the best thing to do. It's kind of weird how I'm structuring it, but I need to go with what's going to still make sense to my mind and make sure that I'm doing it in a way that doesn't fuck myself up. So if I do that, then I can show all the different variations of head to the emergency exit. Although now that I say that out loud, I also have to consider the fact that if I don't make a save on one of these things, then I'm going to have to not do it. But then maybe there's some differences if I do it on either one. Like now I'm thinking, what if I go to the substation on both save states without having accessed the sales office yet, and see if there's anything that happens differently at the substation? It's like, what to do, what to do. Alright, to err on the safe side, what I'm going to do is make some notes for myself. Keone, could Altair assassinate Nemesis? No. Gonna have to go a no on that, Keone. Maybe if he had Leonardo's tank, so it would have to happen before Brotherhood's point where he destroys it. Listen to how many save files you got going on here now. So I dropped saving in-game because I thought to myself, it's hard enough to keep track of the save states, let alone keep track of saving in the game. So I decided to just worry about the save states and make notes as I go through. I've got a whole big notepad that has information in it. I basically went to the guide I was using and copy and pasted every bit of text, but then shortened it where I needed to, and then changed how it looked and everything like that, plus made other notes and stuff. So I think it's safer if I just reload. So if I have a look at part 3 of stream in my note. Alright. Listen, you make notepad documents with information for playthroughs too. It really comes in handy. It's a good way to keep track of what you've done, plus keep an eye out for stuff. And the way I've got it at the moment is on my television screen I've got the emulated game window and I've got the notepad beside it, and that way what I can do too is I don't have to click on the notepad to scroll up and down. I can just move my cursor over to it and scroll up and down so I can keep the game going. Thankfully it's not a situation where if I click off the game window it would stop the sound or anything, but it is good to be able to just scroll up and down without having to be like I need to click on the notepad every single time. There's a square hole. Oh, I don't have the crank with me. Because, did you pick it up, Rod? No, you didn't pick up the crank. Well, it's a bit hard then, isn't it? To use the crank in this part when I don't have the fucking crank. Jesus Christ. Talk about something to make you cranky. Crank up the annoyance level, why don't you, game? That is absolutely no trouble at all, Lucinda. I hope that work goes well today. Hopefully it's going to be a really good one. And thank you for popping in, especially before going to work too. Really appreciate that. Would like to definitely recommend people check out Lucinda's channel. She's doing a playthrough of Silent Hill 2 Remake. We'll also be doing a playthrough of Hellblade 2 as well. And also a big fan of the Resident Evil series. And also a fan of The Last of Us and Evil Within. Also a fan of stealth games like the Dishonored series as well. So, variety of different games and a great streamer with some really cool emotes as well. Thank you for the shout out, Lucinda. Absolutely no worries at all. Always more than happy to give you one. Thank you so much for being here and being able to catch a little bit of this crazy, convoluted playthrough that I'm doing of this game. This is even more complex than the playthrough I did of Resident Evil 2 last year for its 25th anniversary, where I had to, do 2 scenarios with each character parallel by side by side and, jump from one to the next. That was easy compared to this. It's like the Rubik's Cube of 25th anniversary playthroughs that I've done with this series so far. I can't remember now what I did with... I think with Resident Evil 1 for its 25th, I think I just did basically Jill and Chris's campaigns. Oh yeah, that's right, I got all the keys, the MO discs, sorry. Got all of those and showed the differences there as well. Yeah, Lucinda, you know what I mean. It's just like... so many things to think of. Okay, so I'm to get the crank and then not go to the sales office this time after getting it. I need to update that Stream Elements message too about this playthrough because that's not entirely accurate anymore as to how I'm doing it. Will you take the grenade rounds? Yes, you've taken the grenade rounds. Grenade burst rounds. Standard bullets that scatter fragments when they hit the target. Used for HKP grenade launcher. Pretty generous there. If you want stars, I'll give you stars. Thank you, Mr. Gote, for redeeming that as an Arnie impression. Very nice, dude. How's your evening going? Oh, very nice, Dr. Darling. You got Red Dead Redemption 2. Now you have 22 games in your backlog. Just need to find some more games to play that you haven't played so you can add more on top. But that's good. That's really good. Especially to take advantage of that big sale price that it was at. Well, small sale price in terms of like the amount that you paid. But big sale price in terms of the fact that it's not as expensive as it is full price. Oh, of course. There we go. understand. One small price for Dr. Darling, one big price for mankind. The apocalypse has been set in motion now. Mr. Gote, going good. Looking at motorcycle gear today. Put some cold water in the fridge tomorrow for Jim. You're going to be doing big lifts. Well, that's really good, dude. That's definitely good too, to prep everything for the next day so it's all ready there, and also so the water's nice and cool and stuff. This is something I forgot to show, so I'm glad I backtracked. This is where Dario was before he got killed, hiding in here, at the start of the game. Dario's memo. I can't help but wonder if anyone will read these words, but writing them will help me maintain my sanity if nothing else. After I've become a meal for those undead monsters, will the GIs responsible for sealing off the town laugh upon discovering my corpse? So is this how it's supposed to end? I don't want to die, I'm just not ready. My wife, daughter, mother, my entire family's been killed, but none of that matters anymore. Right now, my life is the only important thing. That's all that matters. I never would have pictured my end to be like this. I had so much left to do. Rather than becoming a salesman, I should have tried my hand at being a novelist. It's what I've always wanted, but my mother would only tell me, you have a long way to go. Why did I ever listen to her? But this looks like the end for the great Dario Rosso, novelist extraordinaire, cut down before his prime. Dario Rosso. It's a shame that they didn't call him Dario Argentine or something, I don't know, because he's named after the Italian horror director Dario Argento. That's right, they're individual, these things. Bloody hell, Rod. Spit on that. Anyway, just wanted to come back here and show the spot where Dario was.
Hold me closer, Ed. It's getting dark. Tell Auntie Em to let old Yella out. Tell Tiny Tim I won't be coming home this Christmas. Tell Scarlet I do give a damn. Pardon me. Thank you. You love me. You really love me.
Thank you, Dr. Darling, for redeeming that Bane impression using a quote from The Mask, the movie, the first one. Thank you very much. I thought I'd add the farting in there because that's what he does when he farts and then says, "Pardon me." Such a funny moment in that movie. I remember seeing that at the movies when it came out. Dr. Darling Bane was great in that movie. Oh yeah, he was. Alright, so this location is only accessible a second time if you chose to jump out the window, if you had met Carlos at the press building first, and not actually met him at the Grill 13 restaurant. Alright, so I've already read that in part 1 of this playthrough. The fire is too intense for me to enter. That's right, I forgot. There's something in the car that the zombie jumps out of. I just had a thought. Be interesting to see someone take the Resident Evil 2 and 3 games and combine them into one game and have it so that there's some parts of the game world too that you, or no, probably more just for a player to explore. Like it'd be cool to explore the entirety of Raccoon City as represented in Resident Evil 2 and 3, just as like a sightseeing sort of thing. Like, you know, and have some fun with it, like lets you play as multiple characters and just, you know, like a discovery tour kind of thing, except, or they could actually have it, they could change it so when you interact with certain things, you can have like trivia about Resident Evil or something. I don't know. Just brainstorming. Could make it that there's no enemies if you want to, or make enemies there, you know, do a bit of a mixture. Alright, so I've already seen this, so I'll skip this scene, but I just wanted to
No!
explore here. Hey there, Godfather Owl. Welcome on in. Good evening, handsomest young gamer, I assume from your voice. What? Welcome on in, Godfather Owl. Seems like I found another thing that, on the emulated version of this game, causes delay. Let's see if it corrects itself. I've got a save I can reload close to here anyway. Yep. Just another thing on the emulated version that does not work. The only thing I'll have to redo is collecting the grenade ammo that I collected. Alright, so at the substation, if I chose head to the emergency exit, Nemesis will appear outside only if Jill hasn't visited the sales office and obtained the oil additive yet. Just wanted to suss that out ahead of time. Ah, now it will let me access this without fucking me over. I'll have to be doing this again, but I just wanted to double check some stuff. So when I actually do come back, when I really do want to do it properly in this part, I'll read the stuff that I didn't read. Be right back. Alright, I'm back. Gotta reload the save state again anyway. Hey there, Scar. How's your day going? Going slow, Scar? Ah, I see. Slow. Well, hopefully, if you need it to go faster, it'll feel like it's going faster. Alright, so I've been putting it off for a while with this playthrough, but I'm going to deal with the substation insofar as just showing that if you don't go to the sales office and you don't get the oil additive, that when you go to the substation and do what you need to do, Nemesis will actually appear. So I want to show that first before moving on to the actual doing the sales office. Both variations, the one where it's Carlos that's there, and the other variation on the other save file where it's Nikolai who's there. Alright, so there's going to be a little bit of time between doing this substation now, not having gone to the sales office yet, versus the save files where I have to go to the sales office first and then the substation. But I want to do it this way because it'll make it easier for me to keep track of what I've done. So I haven't gone to the sales office and I haven't gotten the oil additive in the sales office. And so once I do what I need to do here and I choose the option to head to the emergency exit, Nemesis should then appear outside. See? Since we didn't go to the sales office and we didn't actually get the oil additive, it means that Nemesis will appear outside if you also choose head to emergency exit as well. But if you choose to increase the electricity output, then Nemesis will not show up even if Jill hasn't yet found the oil additive as well. So that's also something else that I should show as well. Scar, yeah, Nemesis should appear outside and ask for Halloween candy. he better hope that the candy is shaped like stars, so that if he doesn't know the name of the candy shaped like stars, at least him just saying stars will clue the person in that he's meaning the star-shaped ones. Candy. So I haven't gone to the sales office, and I haven't gotten the oil additive, but this time I'm going to choose to overload the electricity, just to show that Nemesis won't show up with those circumstances. Now, I know that technically I have already been to the sales office, but when I say I haven't been to there yet, at this point in time, I'm basically meaning that I haven't gone there and saved it after having gone there yet, because I wanted to show going there without having, or going to, sorry, the power, what do they call it, substation, without having visited the sales office, and then choosing head to emergency exit, which makes Nemesis show up. Once I've done this and showcased when he doesn't turn up, then I'll worry about the sales office part, and I'll actually read the stuff that was there. Hey there, Pierwen. Welcome on in. Scar, why does Nemesis say stars? Or what does he say? Yeah, so he says stars because Jill Valentine is one of the last surviving members of the STARS group. Special Tactics and Rescue Squad is what it stands for. And Nemesis has been programmed to actually hunt down any surviving STARS members. But the only thing he can say is stars. Maybe it's service, not squad. Alright, this is where I need to make use of save state 3, because I've just realized that there's also a variation at this part if you choose to do neither decision. The zombies will break in and need to be killed in order to escape. This will also make Nemesis appear outside. So I can show both of these closer together. Alright, so I'm going to choose to just not do anything, I should say. Not say nothing. This is in the Dark Pictures game. Ah, there we go, Scar. Yeah, so it was service, not squad. Thanks for clearing that up. There we go. So that's what happens if you choose to do nothing at the substation, not having been to the sales office yet. Now I'll reload that third save state. Now this time I'm going to show what happens when you increase the electricity output. So choosing the electrifying option should make it so that Nemesis doesn't show up. Because we haven't been to the sales office. Alright, now if I've done that right, Nemesis should not show up this time. See? No Nemesis. I just completely guessed that. Alright, so this is where we can take the fuse. Alright. Now I need to double check my notes. Scar, basically, and Nemesis is Talos, Tyrant Armored Lethal Organic System, lol. Basically, a weapon unit search for rescue group and want to kill them. That's true, yeah. And there's so many different tyrants that have happened in the series too as well. Alright, so I've updated my notes. I'm actually keeping a little bit of a log of what I'm actually doing in this stream, so I can keep track of what steps I've done. For example, when I made that save on save state 3, I've made a note that I actually made that save before I forget. Great Slipknot song 2, Before I Forget. Yeah, Scar, definitely classic as well. I think, well, this is a spoiler alert for a Resident Evil movie that came out in 2002. No, 2004, sorry. The second movie, Apocalypse. In that movie, Nemesis is in it. But, this is the twist, right? Okay, so the first Resident Evil movie has a whole new character named Alice. Long story short, there's another character, and he gets turned into Nemesis. And so, in the second movie, she recognizes his eyes in Nemesis and puts 2 and 2 together and is like, oh, this is the guy that I survived the first movie with. She doesn't literally say that, of course, I'm just saying that just to say it. And so in the second movie, guess how Nemesis gets, well, defeated, but basically what happens is she appeals to Nemesis. The classic, you've still got to be in there kind of thing. And Nemesis actually teams up with Alice, becoming the good guy. And I was like, what the fuck are you doing? Like, I don't mind the element of she recognizes that it's him, but the element of him actually remembering his human side is where I draw the line. It's like, that's a bit too stupid. I don't mind Alice being like, oh my god, it's I think his name was Chris, was it? No, not Chris. It was something else. I can't remember now. But anyway, that was just like that. Exactly, Wicked, yeah. Yeah, at the end of the movie, the first movie. Yeah, Jason Isaacs, who did the narration at the start of the movie, he also is in that. Like, he also does that last part there too, as well. But, yeah. So that was the thing about the second Resident Evil movie where I just really checked out on it. But the other thing is too, Jill is made out to be an asshole, and she's not. She's not supposed to be an asshole, and the second movie did that. The only thing they got right was making her look and dress the way that she does in this game. Like, that's the most accurate thing about Jill Valentine in that second movie versus the video game version as well. But yeah, I feel like the first movie could have been a prequel or a story taking place alongside. And the thing is too, it doesn't really tell you what year the movie is set in. You just assume that's supposed to be 2002. And while the original Resident Evil came out in 1996, Resident Evil 1 takes place in 1998. There's not really that big of a difference between 1998 and 2002, because when one decade ends and another begins, day one of the new decade, it's not like everything just goes away and it's completely different. There's still gradual progression. And so they could have made the first Resident Evil movie a movie that takes place in 1998. Sure, there's the whole thing with the drawer that she opens with these high-tech safe, but it's Umbrella we're talking about. You could sort of like do a bit of leeway about they've got access to technology that regular people don't, etc. Because the first movie doesn't have any of the legacy characters from the games in it. Doesn't have Chris, doesn't have Barry, doesn't have Rebecca, doesn't have Jill, doesn't even have Wesker in it. Doesn't have all these elements. So it could have been just another lab that Umbrella had underneath Raccoon City in a different spot underground, because the one in the movie is called the Hive, and it's not the same one. So they could have done that as well. But the only thing that sort of fucks that up is at the end of the movie, where she comes out of the hospital and it's in Raccoon City already. But hey, they could have just that doesn't mean that the Hive was underneath there, but I think in the second movie they say that it's literally under it or something like that. But anyway, the first movie is the better one in terms of like adapting. At least it doesn't ruin any of the characters from the games, because none of the characters from the games are in it. But the second movie and the rest of them just butcher the way that the characters were in the games. Scar, well, she has to play her female role. She must make a guy weak and soft and stab him in the back. Well, it's just there's a certain attitude that Jill has in the movie that she doesn't in the video games. I don't know why they decided to do that, but what it could have been was it could have been Alice doing things parallel to what Jill was experiencing, and have glimpses like maybe Alice would look over and in the distance she'd see Jill doing something from this game, and sort of wonder who that is, but then go back to her task, Little references like that, where you see the characters in the same shot, but they don't interact with each other. That way you could have Jill's story running parallel with Alice's stories, if you wanted to, But that's something that came out 20 years ago, so there's no point crying over spilled milk. But, yeah. Wicked's second movie is still kind of good, but then stuff goes downhill with gas pedal to the floor. Yeah. I'd have to say, out of all the sequels that they did in that series, I think the third one is the one that I like the most. And I'll concede that the way that Claire is portrayed in the movies is actually better than how other characters from the games are portrayed. Ali Lata, who played Claire Redfield in the movies, she did a great job as a character. Okay, so I've made the notes. Now, I'm not going to take the fuse just yet, because what I need to do now is I need to do everything related to the sales office. So I'd been avoiding doing everything with the sales office because I wanted to show what happens at the substation if you don't go to the sales office first. Now that I've done that, I'm going to reload my save states and then actually do the sales office parts. And then because I still have to come back here to get the fuse, I'll be able to actually do that. So we're going to reload save state 1, which puts me there, and I'll make a note that I've done that. Since it has been a while since I showed what actually happens when you go to the sales office if Carlos is there versus when Nikolai is there, I'm still going to let those play because it's been a while since I showed that. But the difference here is I'm actually going to go and read the stuff that I didn't read before when I was just testing the waters with the area and all that kind of stuff. I just thought, because the movie Resident Evil Welcome to Raccoon City exists now, it means that, of course, there's another person who plays Claire, which is not the same actress as in the other Resident Evil movies, because the Welcome to Raccoon City movie ignores the other Resident Evil movies and tries to adapt Resident Evil 1 and 2 into the one.
No! Don't make me do this, Murphy. I don't want to shoot you. Kill me. I finished. Not human. Wait, we don't have to do this. Please hurry. Before I lose conscious. Before too late. Kill me! Yeah! Murphy. Why? No. No.
Carlos!
Alrighty then. So that is what happens if you have it that Carlos is at the sales office. Manager's report. Before you begin your new position, please allow me to give you some advice. Some of the medicine in the storage room are unstable and their quality will deteriorate under changing temperatures or humidity. Therefore, you must remember to keep the temperature the same in the storage room at all times. You should personally check it every day. Although the computer checks it around the clock, a machine is not perfect. Try and remember that a machine is no more than a tool to be used by people. You must check all personnel coming and going to the storage room. Many dangerous drugs are stored there. If any of them are missing, you have a serious problem on your hands. The door to the storage room is always locked, but when you let personnel into it, you will need to have them hand in their documents. And above all else, remember that if you find anything suspicious, contact your boss immediately. If you forget the password to lock the door, try and remember that it is a word that everyone is familiar with. Don't forget that once a new product is shipped, the password will be updated again. You can always enter the password from the terminal of the PC for administration. You've taken the manager's report. Scar, that's why you should never compare movie and the game. Movies is all about to tell a whole story with the help of emotions under 1.5 hours. Game is about to give a player control and make a player a hero. Also, game is much longer than a movie. That's definitely true. The other big difference is that in a movie, events that would be gameplay and the amount of time it takes to do it relies on the player can be shortened even more in a movie. And there's other ways that you can incorporate stuff into the narrative without having to have a big exposition dump as well. And there's ways to do references to stuff that people who don't know the games might not pick up on, but people who do will. For example, you might have an advertisement in the movie version that shows footage of locations that the gamers are familiar with, so they can see how things looked like before the epidemic happened with the T-virus. And then that way they can be like, so that's what the sales office looked like. That's what the RPD looked like when it was normal. Things like that, without having to actually do a whole flashback sequence to show the police station when it was normal. Things like that as well. So there are tricks and things that you can do to fit a lot of stuff into the movie version that you don't necessarily have to have a full scene take place in as well. And other things too, like obviously you wouldn't have the fire hydrant hose and where the fire is, like you wouldn't have to do that. You'd already have it set up. If you're going to adapt the moment where Jill puts out the flames to get to the sales office, for example, you wouldn't, worry about having to get the hose off first. The hose would already be attached and you just use it to douse the fire. That would really speed it up. So I feel like with a movie version of a video game, if you take all the gameplay stuff and you just look at it in terms of like, what are the key points of the gameplay and how can we take some things away and combine them and shorten them to make the runtime in that moment be shorter than it would be if the player had been playing it. Because unless you're a speedrunner, you're not going to be doing the game's story at a pace that makes it make sense for what they're actually doing in the game and how quickly they're doing it as well. And you won't have the character aimlessly run around and all this kind of stuff. Like if you're going to do a Metroid movie, you wouldn't have certain areas locked off necessarily that can't be accessed until later, until Samus has the right equipment. You might pick and choose how many times you have that happen, but you wouldn't make it that there was 6 things that she needed to get in order to be able to access an area from earlier in the movie. So there's sort of things that you'd have to do depending on what you're adapting as well. And everything's different too, depending on what type of game it is and what type of story it is and stuff like that. I feel like Resident Evil, it can have deep characterizations in a lot of ways. It can also cover a lot of ground with notes that you read in the games, but obviously in a movie you can't have the character just reading everything to find out all the information about it and stuff like that. For example, my idea for a Resident Evil movie a long time ago was to start it in the Arklay Mountains, have these group of hikers who are actually hiking in the woods. They get lost, it's pitch black, they can't see necessarily where they're going. They have light, but they still get lost. And anyway, they get attacked by Cerberus, but we don't see it yet, we just hear it. We see what happens to them, the blood and gore and that, but we don't actually see the creature. At least we don't see them fully, we just see glimpses. But it's dark, so you wouldn't light it so that you can actually see them brightly, you know what I mean? And then what would happen is that would be referencing the whole thing about Cerberus being attacked in the woods, and then you could go straight to, the STARS rescue team being sent, and all that kind of stuff. But there are ways, to make things shorter, especially if it's related to gameplay. You don't adapt all the elements of gameplay into your movie adaptation of it. You just pick and choose what you really need to hit on as you go through the story. Congratulations, Zaius, you completed your playthrough last night. Oh, very good. That's cool. Yeah, I finally have a way to approach my playthrough where I can keep track of stuff now. So it was a lot of work to put it together so I could figure out where I have to do this versus not do this and keep track of which save file did I make this action on and all this kind of stuff as well. But that's cool, Zaius, that you completed the game. I'm going to have to reload that save state and not pick up that first aid spray, but I'll read this first. Business facts. Order sheet. The liquid medicine named VT-J98 is suitable to cultivate the NE-T type virus. Therefore, we will need to order additional quantities of it. UE6 Laboratory. Scar, also don't forget about another thing, game did come out much earlier than the movie. There is a gap between media culture. Older games were known for action and limited tech, but you can see more and more feeling in modern games because they want to be close to movies. Basically, you'll see more drama and no sense in modern games than classic. Yeah, I mean, that's definitely true, you know, and the focus on characterization in a cinematic way didn't necessarily reach the point where it was able to really use the same kind of cinematic language that movies use and use it and do it in video games. There's early versions of that and a progression, of course, to get to that point, but there's a lot of games that the story was very basic, which you would think would mean that an adaptation of that should be very basic too, but they seem to find ways to over-convolute stuff when it doesn't need to be. Like the Doom movie, for example, they've failed twice at doing a really good Doom movie. Like, how can you not do a good Doom movie based on the fact that the premise is pretty simple? Especially if you're adapting the very first game in the series. You know, it doesn't have to be deep. You know, it can just be a fast-paced, you know, horror, action, gory movie. You know, it doesn't have to have a deep plot or anything like that. Chemical storage. Access to the storage is controlled by the computer. Alright, so this is stuff that I didn't read before. Product catalog and company brochures, but I wanted to cover that. Sales overview for this quarter. Will you use the remote control? Yes. There we go. Umbrella security system. First class medical storage room. Security authorization. Current status locked. Please enter password and then press the return key. Enter password. Password confirmed. Room access confirmed. Deactivating lock. Please wait. Current status unlocked. Wicked. Well, Doom movie is your guilty pleasure one. You kind of like that. Oh, yeah. I mean, the only thing that I would say that I liked about it was I really liked the first person sequence that they did. But aside from that, I wasn't really too happy with it. Carl Urban was fine as the main character. I didn't even mind The Rock in it as well. But I feel like it was too similar to Resident Evil in the sense that they made it into mutated people and experiments instead of actually being demons from hell. And they took out that whole angle as well, the whole hell angle, which I thought was ridiculous. Okay, so just need to double check something. After finding the fuse for the cable car or the Magnum grenade launcher, zombies try to break down the door to get your... Okay, so that's in the substation as well. Alright, so we're in the sales office. Ah, yes, so that will happen with the oil additive Alright, so I think it's safe. I'll just do another save. Save state. Game 1. Will you take the oil additive? Yes, you've taken the oil additive. Combine with machine oil. Mixed oil. Oil mixed with the oil additive. It can be used for the power source of the large size machinery. Hello there, Sage. Welcome on in. How's things going? You've played every Resident Evil on hard and you've never seen this game though. Had to tune in. Oh, very nice, Sage. That's cool. Yeah, this game was the first Resident Evil game I ever played back when this was new in 1999, and so I definitely wanted to do something to celebrate its 25th anniversary. So what I'm doing is I'm going through and I'm showing the different choices you can make and what things they change and what things will pop up, which characters might appear in one place based on some choices but not appear in that place making different choices, things like that. So it's a pretty sort of like Rubik's Cube style approach, or at least it feels like I'm trying to solve a Rubik's Cube as I'm going through. But this one was originally supposed to be a spin-off title, and Code Veronica was supposed to be the third Resident Evil game. But apparently PlayStation or Sony wanted to have another numbered entry on the PlayStation 1, so they decided to make this 3 instead. There probably might have been other factors too, but I remember reading that was one of the things at least. Sage, there are choices in this game. The remake of this game gave you zero struggle and was quite short. There is Sage, yeah. For example, towards the start of the game, when you get to the Raccoon City Police Department, there's a choice whether to run straight inside or to stand and fight Nemesis. If you choose to stand and fight Nemesis, you can either try to defeat him there, or you can go straight to Brad's dead body and pick up the key card, the STARS key card that you need for the computer in the foyer of the police station, and then go into the police station. If you decide to go into the police station straight away, you're locked out of going back out straight away, and so you have to stay in the police station. And if you don't get the card off Brad, then you have to basically go further into the station to get the STARS card that Jill actually owns, and then you can access the computer as well. So if you want to do it quicker, you can just basically choose to fight the monster, go and pick up the STARS card of Brad's, and then go back into the police station. And then you'll be able to access the computer terminal earlier, which means you'll be able to get to the item that you need to get quicker. Brad has to be the better choice, lol. Yeah, he's sort of like a bit. Yeah, he's not looking good at that point. He's definitely dead. Not too good. Although no, he's not dead. That's right, because of the secret in Resident Evil 2. I forgot about that. Technically, he doesn't die when you see him get attacked by Nemesis. He turns into a zombie in the timeline, but because this game sort of takes place both before and after the events of Resident Evil 2, it means that there's a little bit of overlap. But it was forward thinking because obviously they would have been working on this earlier, so it was cool that in Resident Evil 2 you can find Brad. I think you have to make sure you don't pick up any items and don't use any health items or something. And then it'll appear at the police station. Scar, you do like the Resident Evil movies more than the games? Oh, that's fair enough, Scar. Yeah, I'm the other way around. Sage, you have to be transparent. After reaching Antarctica and Veronica, only Resident Evil game you gave up. I don't blame you, Sage, for that either, because that game, I don't mind it, but I definitely don't like to play it regularly. It's one of those ones where I've only played it a handful of times, if that, and there's definitely a lot of really annoying parts in it. The reason I made a save here, or here, is because we're about to reach another point where there's a choice, and I just need to read what I've got so I know exactly what I'm getting into with what choice I want to make and all that kind of stuff related to what save state I'm currently on and what other things I've done up until this point, etc. Alrighty then. So, I made a save on save state 1 a bit before this point and before going to the sales office. What I need to do is reload that save, but go to the substation first. Sage, the plane scene fight had you talking to yourself like a lunatic. Oh, that, yeah. It's funny too, because having played this one before Code Veronica, in this game you have the dodge mechanic, whereas in Code Veronica you don't, you know. Stage 1 ending still the big monster thing. Yeah, you still fight Nemesis, but you also have Nikolai as well. He's also in this version as well. And there's actually 2 different endings that you can get as well. Only one of them is canon, of course, in the sense of some elements. I think both endings share the same common thing, which is, i.e., spoiler alert, the whole city gets nuked. But there's differences. The canon ending actually has Barry Burton in a helicopter rescuing Jill and Carlos. Mutated giant monster Nemesis, you should say. That's true, yeah. Yeah, so you fight him in that form as well. Can someone tell you why you, as a player who can use many weapons and shoot with great accuracy and blow things up, cannot fight with fists, can't kick, can't spring, basically can't move as a trained tactical unit? Yeah, that's something they definitely changed. Changed in some of the later RE games. Scar, even in Resident Evil 4 Remake, Leon feels more handicapped than he did in OG game. I only played the remake once, but it felt like, didn't he still have the same moves that he had in the original? Because I feel like in Resident Evil 6, he was able to do more, because you could basically do that without it having to have a prompt, necessarily. Alright, so Cerberus have actually turned up in this spot now. Interesting. I've gone the wrong way, but... There we go, that's something else. Sage, he could parry in the remake, big difference. Yeah! Yeah, I do want to play those newer games again. But it won't be this month though. Have to be a next year thing now. Scar, but your knife breaks. How can you break a knife if you're a so-called tactical unit? Yeah, I guess that's where video game logic gets used instead of realism for the mechanic that they want to do. But yeah, I think you have to fully upgrade it to be able to be unbreakable. Sage, speaking of new games, you love the Quiet Place movies. Just played Alien Isolation. Now you got a Quiet Place game that the same format. Yeah, I saw the first movie and I thought that was actually quite cool. I thought it was a really good one. And haven't played the game as well, but it's an interesting concept in the movie, so it'd be interesting to see how they do it in the game. Alright, I just realized that this whole thing with the earthquake, where I need to go, the substation is beyond the part where the garage earthquake happens. So I can't do what I wanted to do, which was to... Anyway, it doesn't matter. This is the only time I'll be doing a playthrough of this game in this way. It's a headache to keep everything in track. Multiple save files, multiple variations in those save files. Going the way that I already went. Actually, hang on. No, this is a save room. Alright. Alright, so gonna save over save state 1. Make a note that I did that. Alright, so I made a save on that save file. Now I'm gonna load up save state 2, which this time will have sorry, not Mikhail, we'll have Nikolai appear at the sales office. It's been a long time in this stream since we saw this variation, so I'm going to let it play again without skipping the cutscenes. Sage, speaking of new games, you love the those NPCs bursting through windows, dogs, zombies, etc. gives you PTSD because that's the shit that would kill you after an hour of progress with limited saves, you know. Oh yeah. That's the other thing too, having those sort of like restrictions on your gameplay and having to redo stuff all over again. Scar, also many people don't like Village, why not? You mean, game looks good, you do actually survive, you can use guns, bandage wounds, also fight some huge monsters, etc. What's wrong with Village? Yeah, I like that one. I probably prefer 7 though, because I like the smaller scale of 7. And Village kind of starts to sort of like mess with the kind of like, I know, you know, like a zombie virus doesn't exist in real life, but the games always seemed more grounded in their depictions of creatures to a certain degree, you know, like in Resident Evil 0 you have a giant bat that you fight, right? But in like Village you have literally vampires, or you have a virus that makes them act and look and sound and do things that vampires do, for example. I think it's getting a little bit too close to being too supernatural kind of based as well, because they're sort of really bending the whole it's all based on a virus sort of thing. There's only so far you can push things overboard with that premise before it becomes too much into the thing. You know what I mean? Like, it'd be like if you're doing a series of games that were grounded in the sense that a main character is experiencing things that happen in real life, but then after like so many games in the series, they decide to make it that you're fighting zombies now. And it's like, what? Wait, what happened? When did the series become this? You know, like Resident Evil 4 not having zombies. I can understand at the time people were like, it's not Resident Evil, then no zombies, not Resident Evil, which I completely sort of like understand. But I could also understand they wanted to try something different as well. But it's still based on like a parasite, a virus, and you even had like William Birkin putting, like embryos and stuff into people, So you had that element as well. But yeah, I feel like Resident Evil Village is getting too close to being on borderline. You may as well just say that vampires exist in the universe of Resident Evil and all this kind of stuff. Like the next Resident Evil, I hope they don't have like the invisible people or something and have like, a virus that turns you into a Godzilla-sized monster. Like, well, I mean, no, that's sort of almost happened. That's not a good analogy to use. What other analogy could I use for that? It's like, I hope they don't start to do ghosts and stuff. You know what I mean? Like, have a virus that makes you look like you're a ghost. I think that would be getting it a bit too close to too supernatural, even further. Say specifically RE0 and 1. You heard the biggest complaint about Village is limited amount of enemies and the story was basic from the complex storytelling in other games. The story is sort of like, I don't know, I've only played it once, so I don't really have a whole big sort of like understanding of the game's story in and out over years worth of analysis and playthroughs. But I thought it was okay, but I feel like the 9th numbered title should go back to more traditional.
Wait!
What did you do?
I had no choice. He was about to turn into a zombie. It would have been a threat, so I eliminated it.
But he was still conscious, wasn't he?
He was as good as dead. And it took fewer bullets to kill him now than it would have if he had transformed.
Alright, so this is what happens if Nikolai is the one that you meet here at the sales office. He just straight up kills Murphy. Whereas with Carlos, because he knows him and they're friends, he has a harder time at doing it.
Not now, I'm busy.
Fuck. I thought I was far enough away. Oh well. I'll be ending the stream soon anyway. My concentration levels are shot.
Wait!
I forgot it changes it randomly. Okay. Sage Shadows took away early access in Season Pass. They're listening to you, Rod. Well, I mean, I don't really remember if I said anything about they should do that or not. But, I mean, if they're not going to release the game when they said they were, when people were expecting it to be released and they pre-ordered it based on that fact, I guess it makes sense. Sky, yeah, but still, it's a biovirus. Virus can evolve. Corporations do evolve and test new tech. Umbrella is not dead yet. And also, if you take a look at Talos units, some of them do still towards something alien kind. Yeah, I guess what I'm trying to say is I don't want Resident Evil to turn into a series where it's too far into the fantasy kind of stuff, like having trolls and goblins and all this kind of bullshit. Hey there, Placenta. How's it going? Welcome on in. Zaya stars. You kept blowing yourself up this playthrough. Yeah, that was so funny when that happened. I thought, surely I'll be far enough away. But nope. Scar, but if we will speak human language, well, devs do test new ideas, market changes, publishers do push new deadlines. Also, people need to make something new so they can sell the game. Also, devs trying to get younger generation interested as well. They also do some tests and see what does sell and what not. That is true to an extent. There's some segments of a player base that some companies don't actually listen to as well. Even if there is, some valid things to listen to from those people. Alright, so we've done the sales office with Nikolai there. So I need to get Jill on this save state up to the garage. So it doesn't matter whether it's Carlos at the sales office or Nikolai, Nemesis will still pop out at this point. Hello, Ave. It's going good, thank you. Things are going good. How about yourself? Alright, so now I've reached this point on save state 2, which is the save state where it was Nikolai in the sales office instead of Carlos in the sales office. There we go. Alright, so this is where I'm going to end the stream because I've taken too long to get to this point, and so I'm going to call it, and then in the next stream I'll continue on from this point and show this part with the earthquake, and then also show the substation again, but this time having gone to the sales office first before going to the substation as well. But this will be a good point to end, and before I do though, I want to take note of making the save I just made in my notepad. There we go. Are they going good? Work called earlier, so you had to drop out from the stream real quick. Though you got you that coffee. Not a coffin though. Oh, no coffin. Well, that's definitely fair enough, Ave. But that's good though that you're able to actually get a coffee. I wanted to have some music to play while I was doing my outro stuff, so I'll just wait until it gets to the point where I can go into the options to have the music that plays when you're in the options. An Ave is located aboard stream. Aboard stream. Thanks for redeeming that, Ave. There we go. So this music can play while I'm doing my outro stuff. If you see me streaming this game again, then you know it's Wednesday. Before I go, I want to give some shout outs. Ave, it fit well with the music that began playing first. That's true, yeah. It's one of those bits of music too that's always ingrained in my mind. Return of the Ave. Dun dun dun! Would like to highly recommend people check out the following streamers: Amateur Tech, who is doing Helldivers 2, Crocodiles, who's playing Disco Elysium, The Cinder, who is doing Silent Hill 2 Remake, Mr. Gote, who is playing games like Banish's Ghost of New Eden, Scar, who has been doing Dirt Rally, and Shaky, who's been doing WWE SmackDown Here Comes the Pain. So would definitely like to recommend people check out those streamers if you haven't before. Thanks for putting that raid message in there, Ave. I need to load up my Twitch actually because I don't have that open right now. So I can see who is live that I want to raid. Alright, so we're gonna raid Queen of Skeletons, who's playing a horror game called Victim Complex. Queen does a variety of different horror games, and sometimes she does a lot of games that were on Steam that, you know, are pretty short as well, so can do a lot of like marathon kinds of stuff as well. So that's where we'll raid out to. There's a general raid message that Ave has put the command in chat for, that everyone can copy and paste. I've also got one for subscribers that I'll put in as well. I like to change up what the combination of emotes is for that one, so I don't have a command for that one. Which is that one there. So it'll probably take me another couple of streams, I think, to do this playthrough because of the nature of it and having to backtrack and also show the same thing but different slightly and all that kind of stuff. But in any case, the next game that will happen after I finish Resident Evil 3 will be Silent Hill 4. The Room. I'll be doing a 20th anniversary run for that game. But thank you everyone again for watching. I really do appreciate it. I'll continue this stream when it's Wednesday for me, and we'll see where I get up to by the end of that as well. Thanks for watching, and catch you next time.